Hello to all you programmers or webmasters out there. This is Scott. Today I'll be bringing up the topic of increasing your website performance. Website performance is the main key aspect of how successful a site can be. If a site takes too long to load, no one's going to be there. No one's going to care. No one wants to see your stuff. Therefore, you lose money and you'll lose a potential subscriber via your subscription tools and emailing list. Now, this is something that I'm still trying to boost, and the reason is because if you have a slow load time, you have just repercussions, and it's very annoying. And there's a lot of easy tricks to do so. Number one, compress every image you upload. Every image on your website should be compressed. Mine are always compressed. I compress them through a program on my computer, and then they're compressed automatically by my server. Keep your scripts on your server, and keep them in one source. So for instance, I have a lot of people that say, oh, always use blah blah, always have scripts externalized from your server. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you can't load a script. You can't combine scripts if they're not on your server, which causes issues, and asynchronization can also be a pain. And I'm still going to do this. I have a couple things that I need to do. My recent comments and my top commenters will also all need to be switched onto a better system and have to be combined with my other scripts to improve load time. Having external scripts does a couple things. Number one, it adds another HTTP request. The more requests you have, the more your browser has to make, the more it has to download. Having one large script is better than having a ton of small scripts, because even if they all equate to be the same size, you have to look at the extra requests, because a browser can only handle so many requests at the same time. And therefore, they basically throttle the connection. The browser basically says, okay, hold on, Jack, you have way too much stuff. We're going to do like two. They don't do a lot of requests at the same time. Also, having images that are not tied to post, but are instead tied to, like this, my follow buttons, need to be they need to be on a trying to think of the word here. They need to be a CSS Sprite. This is a CSS Sprite, which is essentially saying that this is one image with multiple images, but I'm telling the browser to get the image from this location. So it goes to the image source and it says, this is a sprite. What image would you like us to use? And then you say you use image blah 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 blah, and you retrieve it, and it has a position up blah 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 blah. And that's how this works. I took a while to learn it, but it greatly increases it. Also, your images should always have a dimension tag. Your width, your height, because if it doesn't, the browser has to sit there and guess. Browsers don't like to guess things. They don't like to have to say, okay, if it's a 32 by 32 picture, it's going to say, well, how much space? I mean, it can't tell until the browser, it's going to load the image, and then it's going to have to say, okay, what's its size supposed to be? And it's going to sit there thinking, and eventually it's going to come across and say, okay, it's a 32 by 32, because it can't read it by the file. It has to read it when it renders in the space that it takes up. So by declaring the size, it doesn't have to do that step. It could say, okay, that'll be a blah, 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 blah. Done. It knows what it's doing. Hard to do things like that in sliders and on post where it retrieves the image. It can't do that. Which is why serving scaled images is better, but it's also harder to do. So don't feel bad if you come across the issue of you're not being able to register or mark the size of each image. That just takes a lot of time, and it may not even work in the end. Keep your ads to a minimum or have self-serving platforms. Ad networks, oh my god, they are extremely slow. AdSense is the top performing in speed that I know of, and the other one would probably be Tribal Fusion, Vibrant Media, Value Click Media, Burst Media, and Blinks are some of the top performing, and that's because they're very large and they can't afford to be slow. And the reason is because when you have an ad network, what it says is it's like, okay, you have blah 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 blah. Your site's about blah 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 blah. It has to analyze, and then it's going to send the information to the ad server. The ad server is going to be like, well, what size is he using? And it's going to be like, it's using a 300 by 250. And it's going to be like, okay, we'll check on it. Then they bring an ad. It has thousands of ads that they could try and fill it with. They pick one and then send it back, which is kind of an issue in the end of itself because it has to make a ton of requests. Bad networks right now that have a lot of requests is Legit, Chatika, and other things. Because it's just slow. It requires so many extra requests and you can't serve the scripts on your server. So if they have a slow performing server, yeah, there you go, an issue. So don't waste time on slow ads. Buy Sell Ads is a great service. You can sell your own advertisements, and the reason that they're better, which may come as a shock to many people, is because they don't work the same way that yours does. The advertiser pays you to display their ad, which, let's say this guy wants to display an ad about bunnies. He wants to show a bunny ad on my website. I probably would say no, but let's say I say yes. I will say I put it right here. Now, let's say I have an AdSense ad right here. The AdSense ad will go slower because the AdSense ad has to go to a server and retrieve different connections. This one doesn't have to analyze all the different ads. It says you have this ad from that dude. The image is here. Here you go. Which is a lot faster than having to go through and try and find them. So, ad servers are very slow. Also, comment systems can bring down your bring it down if they're not optimized correctly or you're using a poor one. I use Discus, and Discus, or how you want to pronounce it, is a very great program. Does exactly what it needs, does it quickly, can generate extra revenue, and it doesn't hog down the system and doesn't have stupid little looks. It looks nice. That's also how I got this comment system in the recent comments. It's just part of a script that they wrote, and I can retrieve the file from the server. Now, I would kind of want it on my server or get at least the script source onto the server, which is kind of the key thing. So, by keeping them on your server, you can combine them with other scripts. Combining scripts with other scripts is the best way to reduce the script load time, and make sure that you defer to the parsing. You use a defer tag or do JavaScript parsing, which says don't load the script first, load the HTML then the script, because the JavaScript is a heavy burden on your website. So thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.